The third element that we are looking at are the openings in a building, being windows or being just openings that allow natural light and ventilation to happen. Those are really important for the interior of a building, because obviously without natural light it's quite hard to live inside unless you have artificial light as we have in the contemporary world. But in vernacular architecture, a lot of the buildings have some kind of way to let light and air through the building. These openings could be made in the form of a window, they could be openings in the building, or they could be entire walls that are perforated and that let the air and light go through them. As for example in Arabic architecture, where we have these windows with kind of detailed stone carvings or wooden filters that let the air go through but doesn't necessarily let the sun go through, so it helps cool the building during hot times. In other places we have other ways of cooling the buildings. For example, we have not just the natural ventilation but evaporative cooling. So how can we use some kind of devices as natural evaporation of water that's in some kind of pool that's inside a building that lets the air flow through it. So these kind of combination between openings, between evaporative cooling create the comfort inside the building. However, they present certain challenges in times of calamities and natural disasters. So for example, the bigger we have the openings and the windows, the more vulnerable the building is to typhoons. When we have a strong wind or some kind of storm or rain that really hit the building and it has huge windows, they are more likely to break in times of strong winds, especially in areas where the building techniques are not so advanced and where windows are not storm-proof. So we want to see how different cultures and builders have responded to these natural disasters. How can a building, for example, close itself when it's necessary to protect itself from these natural hazards, and how it can open when there is no natural hazard and fresh air and light need to go through the building. So we want to see some examples that you have chosen in your areas, in your geographies, and in relation to the natural disasters. So for example, pick a vernacular building and see whether it has big openings, small openings, how these openings are open and close. Are they protected with glass or just with wood or with straws or some kind of a metal mesh or something else? And then find a contemporary building and see how the windows change in a contemporary building. Usually they become much bigger because there's larger pieces of glass that are available, and also because there is air conditioning, so when it's too hot outside, the air conditioning can kind of cool the building even if it overheats through the big windows. We would like to stay as much as possible with natural solutions and solutions that are sustainable. So if we can find buildings, contemporary buildings, that use these sustainable techniques to cool the building and to let light into it, that would be better. So we want to see some examples that you find through your research, and it would be nice if you can present them to us at our virtual meetings and also submit them on our forum.